All right, guys. So in the last video, we went over how to set up the candles so that they can melt and all that, and to show off our symbol whenever they get done melting. I made that a really slow candle, didn't I? There we go. There's our symbol. Cool. All right. So now we want to build out the door that will be opening whenever we've completed the puzzle, and then we're going to go ahead and start making the actual puzzle. So some of the stuff I want to do first, I want to go into our interactions folder. Where was that? Yeah, right here. Interactions. Go into the interact interface. Now I want to do a couple of things here that we're going to change up from last time. First being, we're not actually going to use the character ever as a reference, so might as well not have it as a reference. But what we can do is get an actor reference, object reference, and we can use that to find out what is it that is interacting with us. And then we can, oops, not a new function, sorry, add a new input. And this will be our hit result. This will come from our line trace that we do in the first person character, or whatever character you're using. I'm gonna go first person character. You'll notice that right here, this is red. What you can do is just hit refresh node. I'll remove that. I'm gonna go ahead and plug that self into our actor, and the hit, which I just realized didn't stick like I wanted it to. So come back in here, hit result, make sure that this time it switches. There we go. Hit result, save, come over here. We're gonna grab that from all the way over here. Now we could just take the component that was hit and use it for all this logic, but just in case we decide that we want to use the hit result for something else, we've already got it. So we're done with all that. Now we can go ahead and I'm gonna go inside of interactions in here. I'm gonna go ahead and just make a door. I'm right click, blueprint class, actor, call this door underscore BP. Drag this out into the world really fast, put it about where I want it. I'm gonna open that up, and I'm going to use, let's go ahead and say a static mesh, and I'm going to use the what was it, shape cube. Yeah, shape cube. Okay, and then we can look at that, and that fits pretty well in there. Back it up a little bit, move over to the side there. There we go. And then I want to get my shape or my sizing of it from this, so I can scale that up and squish it, and then I can just move this forward a little bit where I want it. I'm gonna still this material really fast too, so I'm gonna select it, click on the eye thingy or the magnifying glass thingy, and then come in here and hit the arrow, and that'll give me that texture. So like kinda looks like it's supposed to be there, right? All right. So then I'm going to take this, I'm going to rename it F2, and we're going to call this the door mesh. And then I'm going to duplicate this guy, and I'm going to call this the open, and then underscore POS for position. I'll save that. And then I'm going to scroll down here under collision presets. I'm going to set this to no collision. And then I'm going to search for hidden and set that to hidden in game. This is going to basically just give us our position for whenever we're open. So open position on this guy, I think I'm going to have it be, actually I'm going to move this forward a little bit. Actually, you know what? Yeah, we'll leave it like it is. And then, but anyways, with this selected, I do want to come over here, select open position, and I'm just going to drag this off to the right here. I want that to overlap a little bit so we see it sticking out, and maybe bring it slightly out this way. All right, that gives us a nice open position to play with. Now we do want to make sure that this thing can be interacted with, so I want to go to class settings, interfaces, implement interfaces, and look for interact interface. I just said interface like 15 times. I'm gonna double click on the interface and open it up. So on this, I do want to find out what actor is actually hitting this, but before we do that, I need to go back into my interactions into my symbol puzzle and make a new actor. So I'm gonna go blueprint class actor, and this will be our symbol puzzle EP. That way I can just pull off this actor and say get class and see if that class equal to the symbol puzzle. Spell symbol puzzle. There we go. Okay. If it is equal to symbol puzzle, then we want to know what part of that guy did we hit. Or no, sorry, I'm jumping way ahead. I'm thinking about the symbol puzzle and using the hit break, but no, that's not right. Actually, what we want to do is we want to pull off of here and get a gate. And then I'm going to hold control, move that from enter to open. Then I'm going to right click and get event tick. I'm going to plug event tick into the enter. And then out of the enter, I'm going to get our door mesh and say set relative position or location. Yeah, there we go. Location. And I'm going to copy our door mesh here. And I'm going to say get relative location. I'm just going to copy the relative location node, put it down here, and I'm going to grab my open position, plug that in there. And then from here, I'm going to say v interp to. I'm going to get the constant version, just so it's very smooth, quick movement. I'm going to go ahead and set the interp speed to 100 because I just know from testing that that's a pretty good one. I'll plug the return value into our new location, and then I'm going to get our delta seconds from event tick and plug it in down here. Now with that, like that, we should be able to go ahead and test our door just really, really fast. Make sure this guy does open. It doesn't because I did something wrong. Oh, no, it does it because I did 2 right. So we are not the symbol puzzle, so we can't test that. So I'm just going to drag straight across really quick, put that straight into open, just so we can make sure that this will open whenever our puzzle interacts with it. There we go. It opened up. Cool. I can fit through there. Everything's good. So I can go back into this and plug this back in, hook all this back up. And we know that that's ready for whenever we get the puzzle to the win state so that we open up the door. All right, so we can close that guy out. And then we want to open up our symbol puzzle B that we created before. In here, we're going to go ahead and add a static mesh. And this will be called let's call this green pillar. I know in my game, or my demo, I use tables. This is the same concept, but instead of rotating the pointer around, we're actually going to rotate the symbols around. So if you don't want the symbols to rotate, do not make them a child of the turntable. I'll re-explain that when we get to it. But so green pillar, I'm actually going to make this a shape underscore cylinder. The reason I like using the shapes is because their root is at the bottom of it. So whenever I drag these guys out, it's automatically on the floor. So it just kind of speeds things up. And then I'm going to scale this up a ways. Cool. And then I think, oh, you know what? Let's just throw a, brick guy on there. I'm going to squish this down a little bit. And then I'm going to add another static mesh. This one can also be a shape cylinder. But I'm going to make our Z 0.1, 0.05. That looks good. I think. Get down here and actually look at it. And then I'm going to take and make these like 1.05 and 1.05. That looks decent. I'm going to raise this up to what I think is about player height, so I can look in here and hit play really quick. That's a little low. What about there? There we go. So it's a little bit lower than player height, so that it's easily visible. Cool. All right. So I'm gonna take and make this other material, whatever you want it to be. I think that's fine. Yeah. All right. So with that, like that, I'm gonna rename this, and this will be green underscore turn table. Then I'm gonna select self and add another static mesh. This is just basically going to be an item that we use for pointing to, hey, this is the one that's being used, or this is the symbol that we are locking in. I'm just going to make this there's an arrow. Do something like this. Yeah, that looks, I don't know if I'm gonna like that or not. No, not really. Do a couple times just so I get the rotation fixed, and I'm gonna go back over to this pointer. We'll just use a cube. Let's do shape cube, and I'll just scale it way down. Off my scale mapping. All right, just something big enough to say, hey, this is the spot that we're or this is the symbol that is being entered into the puzzle, something like that. Okay, and for this one, since it's the green one, I'm gonna grab a green material, slap it on there, and name it green underscore pointer. Okay, with the turntable selected, I'm then going to get another, or add another static mesh. I know a whole bunch of them, right? And this will be, let's call it the life cube. So basically this will be a cube that displays the symbol. I'm going to set all of the location to 0, zeroing it out, which brings it up to our turntable here. And I'm just going to grab another cube shape, not cone, cube, scale it down as well, about where we want it. Okay, then I've already made these symbols. See what I put those symbol puzzle symbols. So I'm going to, yeah, so that's my life symbol. I'm going to duplicate that, and let's call this I'm gonna call this the raw symbol, because this will be the eye of raw, or I can even call it, say, eye raw, and then cube. I'm gonna move this straight back behind it. Okay, and then just make sure to switch our material to that symbol, and then duplicate that, and this will be my water underscore cube. Oh, you know what, while I'm at this, and I'll rename all these here in a second when we can speed up the video, but just make sure that you actually put like some sort of identifier on them. I'll get the rest later when I'm speeding all this up. Yeah, and then I'll make my last symbol, or my last two symbols. So I have my life, my eye, and then I want to take my water symbol. I'm gonna go ahead and zero this one back out again. I think actually on the z-axis I changed these a little bit, so 9.2. Make sure my z is the same so that they're all at the same height. I'm gonna bring this over to the right, And this is supposed to be water, so I'll grab water underscore mi, duplicate, and I think, yeah, the last one was scarab. Okay, so now we've got that all the way set up. So you'll notice that if I rotate the turntable, it rotates all the symbols. That's basically what we're going for. So undo that, make sure that we set up our rotation on the turntable V000. Okay, I'm gonna select the green pillar all the way down to green pointer. I hit Control C for copy. Come back up, select self, and paste. And I just realized that my green pointer was not a child of green pillar, so go ahead and fix that. Same thing, green pointer 1 now. We'll go under green pillar 1. And anyways, I'm going to go through and rename all these, the blue underscore pillar, blah, 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 and speed all this up. All right, now that all that's done, I'm going to select green pillar again and go all the way down to the bottom of it just before the blue pillar. Come over here to the details panel, search for tag, make a new tag, and this one will be green pillar or whatever you want it to be. And then same thing with blue, select all of the things underneath it, create a new tag, blue pillar. So with blue pillar selected, I'm going to switch to my move tool and just move this to the side here. File, save, and you'll notice that whenever I select on something, I see the same tag, green pillar, green pillar, pillar on all of these over here, blue pillar, all that. Guys actually becomes blue because it's part of the blue pillar. There we go. Now we just got to get it to where we can interact with this and it turns our turntable. Okay, so in our event graph, I'm gonna go to class settings and add our interact. Okay, with that added, and come over here to interfaces, open it up, and then I want to know what component has been hit whenever we interact with something. So whenever we draw that line trace and it hits one of these components, we want to know which one it was, or at least which pillar it belongs to. So I'm going to pull off of here on our hit. We're going to say break, expand that out, pull off of hit component, and we're going to get its tags. We'll get component tags, and we're going to just pull off of here and say get. We'll just reference the first one. Obviously, if you have multiple tags, you'll want to reference the one that works for this, but since we only have the one tag, we'll just do here. Okay, and then we want to know, or we want to pull off of here, we want to know which one we're working with, so we can just use a switch on name. We can remove the default pin on that and add 2 different names. I'm not sure if I said it earlier on in the intro or not, but we're only going to be making 2 pillars. The same idea if you want to do 4 like I did with the 4 tables. Just doing this for time's sake in the video. All right, so this one will be green pillar. We want it to match that tag that we used over here. So what you can do is you can just copy, come over here, and paste it in. I'm gonna paste it in twice and just switch out the green with blue. So however you wrote it up, capitals, however you did it, you need to make sure that it's the exact same here. So now, if it's the green pillar, Then we want to turn the green turntable. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull out a green turntable here, and I'm going to right click on that and promote that to a variable. And we're gonna set that variable's name to be symbol to rotate. We want to set that there and then copy paste it here. But instead of using green turntable, we want to use blue turntable. Now we've got it stored, which turntable we're trying to turn. All right, so then we're going to make a new function. I'm going to call this setup symbol rotate. And in here, we basically just trying to find out which, or how do I want to explain this? Basically, we're just figuring out if we need to rotate it 90 degrees or if we need to set it back to 0. The reason that we're having to do that is because every time, here it might be easier if I show this in the viewport. Every time we rotate, let's say we rotate it 90 degrees, right? If we rotate it to 90 and then we rotate it again to 180 and we rotate it again to 270 and then 360 should switch back to 0. But for some reason, if we just keep adding 90 to the rotator, it'll actually just keep going after 360 from 360 to I think it's 450, so on and so forth, right? And that's not what we want. Make sure to set this back to 0 if you follow how I was doing that. Just need to stay 0 for this math to work. All right, so back in our thing here, we're going to set it up to make sure that we can't go past 360, and if we do, we reset ourselves back to 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull off of here and say get relative rotation. I'm going to right click on that and split it, and then I'm going to pull off the Z and say make rotator. I'm going to hold control and move it from the X to the Z. We're going to keep our X and our Y 0 for this. I'm going to pull off of here and say promote the local variable, and this one will be our start rot for rotation. And then off of the Z, I want to pull off of here and say plus, we're going to add 90. Now if adding 90 is going to make it go past 60, then we want to stop it and turn it back to 0. What I'm going to do is pull off here and say switch, not switch. It is switch, right? Switch. What am I trying to think of? Not switch. Okay, I totally didn't look at my notes and all that. It's select. I could not think of it for the life of me. So we're going to select float, and instead of that going into A, we're going to put that into B, and we're going to have keep the A at 0. Now, how are we going to make sure if it's, so basically if it's not going to go above 360, then we just want to add the 90 and let it keep rotating properly. But if it is, we want to set it to 0. So how do we know if it is? Basically, we're just going to look and say greater than on the sum of these two numbers. If it's greater than 360, then we want it to go to A. If not, then we'll do B. Then we can pull off of here and we can say make rotator. Again, move it from the X to the Z, promote to a local variable. This will be our end rotation. So I want to make a return node. So we're going to do add return node. Then I can just drag this guy here. And I can rename these start rotation. And this one end rotation. Basically, I just drag these in there to quickly and easily get these output pins made. There we go. Make sure the plugin start rot to start rotation and rot to end rotation. and we're good to go. Now, back in our event graph, I want to make another custom event, and I'm just going to call this rotate symbols. And that's what we want to call out of these guys. So rotate symbols. Now we get that called. And then I'm going to pull it down here. We're going to say, actually we want to call the setup symbol rotate. And then we want to pull off here and we want to do a timeline. So add timeline. We're going to call this rotate underscore TL for timeline. Hold control, move it from play to play from start. Open it up. I'm going to set the length to 3 seconds. Add a float track. I'm going to name the float track alpha. Right click, add key. And we're going to set the time to 0 and the value to 0. Right click, add another key. And we're going to set the time to 3 or whatever length you set. And the value to 1. File and save that. Back to the event graph. And I want to, here it is, grab our symbol to rotate and say set relative rotation. Plug that into our update. And then pull off of our alpha and say rotator. Then our A will be our start rotation. And our B will be our end rotation. Plug all that in. That should allow us that whenever we interact, find out what component we're interacting with and rotate. The reason, and I don't know if I explained this, but the reason that we are setting all of these guys up to have the same tag on a single pillar is so that no matter where our line trace hits on this pillar, it'll still rotate our it'll still rotate our turntable for that pillar. If you wanted it to where they have to interact with this point on the pillar, maybe the turntable or all that, you would basically just give only the components that you want to be interactable, the tag green pillar or blue pillar or whatever your tags are that you're using. So if we come back in here, we hit play. There's our symbols. We hit rotate. You notice it rotates. It's pretty. Rotate again. Really nice. Okay. Too easy. We want to check something. Yeah, that's what I thought. It stops the rotation. Okay, so I'm thinking, okay, what we can do is we can do a branch really fast. And I'm going to right click on this, promote to variable, and call this can rotate. Okay. That should automatically default to true. And what basically after, if we can rotate, as soon as we get past the branch, I'm going to set this to false. Basically making it to where if we try to spam interact, then it's already set it to false. And so first time it goes through, it lets us keep going. Second time it stops here. It doesn't let us keep going. So basically we want to allow it whenever this is finished rotating. So we'll pull off of here and say can rotate, and we'll set that to true. Shouldn't need any delays or anything. That should work perfectly fine. Let's check that really fast. I'll hit play. I'll try to rotate using the other one. Nope, the other one's not rotating. Cool. Okay, and then if I, oops, let's go and let that rotate for a second. I'll rotate this one, try and rotate the other one too. It won't rotate. All right. So that should be good for this video. I'm going to go ahead and call it. In the next video, we will work on getting the answers to actually feed out, and that's a bad, not a good way of saying it. Feed out. What do I mean? Basically, we're going to get it to where the answers register. Basically, we're going to use the rotation to tell us what symbol is being displayed, and if those symbols line up with what we need to open the door, then we'll open the door. So basically we'll finish up the tutorial in the next video. So if you guys haven't already, please like, comment, subscribe. I'm gonna go get me some sleep at 6:15 in the morning. That's why I'm so sleepy sounding. But yeah, if you guys would really like to support, some of the best stuff you can do for free is comment and hit that thumbs up. Even the thumbs down actually helps out a little bit. If you really want to press that, please don't, but I mean, if you really feel the need, go for it. But if you want to help out even further, you could become a member of the channel or become a patron. Both have access to the project files. If you would like to get those, if you're a member, hit me up in Discord, let me know. We'll get that verified to get you access to the project files. Patrons, you should automatically have access to their project files. Yeah, see you guys next time.